welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you all about the Goldfish mega tank behind the camera. I've had loads of people over the past few months ask me how I do water changes, what's in my filter, where's my filter, how big is the tank, how do you look after it, so many different questions. So in today's video, I thought I would do a really comprehensive video, everything about the Goldfish mega tank, how much I feed, water changes, filter media, how it runs, how the system works, everything like that. So let's head over to the Goldfish mega tank, let's check it out and talk about it in a little bit more detail. So right next to me here is the Goldfish mega tank. Now this tank is 1,620 litres, it measures 8 feet long, 3 foot front to back and 2.5 foot tall. The tank was made by ND Aquatics. It was custom made by my measurements and design. It has glass lids on the top of the tank. There are 6 lids in 3 sections, and the filter is in the far right hand corner, which I built myself. Now, as you can see, we have a grass or a algae carpet on the bottom of the tank. We also have that on the back wall. Now, I've spoken in a previous video I did probably about 3 weeks ago now, maybe 2 weeks ago, why I chose to go bare bottom, why I don't have any ornaments, decor or substrate. So if you want to know more about that, then I'll put a little link up in the corner of the video and you can check that out. Now I have 10 Oranda in this aquarium and they are different styles, different body shapes. They have come from different areas of the world, mostly Thailand or Indonesia, and the majority of these fish are from star fisheries. Now let's talk a little bit more about filtration. So let's head over to the other side of the tank and let's check it out. Now I am in the far corner of the aquarium, which is where the filter is. Now essentially the filter is an inbuilt sump. I purchased 2 pieces of custom cut acrylic, which I believe is 5mm or 8mm thick. Now I created a box section in the back of the tank. Obviously you have the back of the tank here and the corner, and then I created 2 pieces of acrylic, siliconed them together to create a box section within the system. Now the filter holds around 110 litres of water volume, and on top I have some 3D printed weirs which allow the water to pass through over the top of the acrylic. And I purchased those on eBay. I think they're around £12–15, something like that. Cut them to size so they would slide onto the acrylic and stop any fish or any big particulate from getting into the filter. Now essentially if I had the filter empty, didn't have anything in it at all, the tank and filter would be exactly the same level. The acrylic sits around 2 to 3 centimeters below the surface of the water, and then those weirs sit on top. So essentially the water would just fill up into the weir and the water would be equilibrium within the filter and also the tank as well. However, I have placed a pond pump into the bottom right hand side of the filter. There is a 6,000 litre per hour Hallier pond pump. I just put a picture of one on the screen here, and that is actually pumping up over the top, hopefully you can see that, down into this Cockney Koi Yamitsu 25 watt UV, goes through the pond's UV, back up, down, and then it returns into the tank through an 1.5 inch PVC pipe. Very, very simple. Water goes over the weir, down into the bottom, into the pump, out, through the UV and back into the tank. Now what I've also done with this filter is I've filled it with Alpha Grog Biohome ceramic media, ceramic noodles. There is around 35 kilos of media in this filter, and I have to fully clean it out, I would say every 4 to 5 months. Now that media sits in the bottom, and I also have a acrylic egg crate sort of cage that sits on top of the media, where I place a few sponges and my filter fleece, which I change out every single week. Now as the water goes over the top of the filter, it hits the filter fleece, which is a really fine matting. That gets removed, change out once a week, and then any particles that go around that hit the sponges, which I probably clean out every 2 weeks. And then obviously, as I said, every 4 to 5 months, I'll give the biomedia a good clean, but the filter fleece and the sponges manage to capture most of the physical dirt. So now we've spoken about the tank itself, we've spoken about the filter, let's talk a little bit about the lighting. Now above the tank you can see I have 2 lights. Now these are actually marine lights. and these are the AI Hydra 52 HD lights, and I've adjusted the color spectrum and the Kelvin rating, so it is currently sitting at around 6,500 Kelvin, which is more of the daylight sunlight spectrum. Now these lights come on at 10 in the morning and they go off at around 11 at night, so I'm getting around 13 hours worth of daylight, which helps to grow the algae carpet, as you can see on the base of the tank. Now these are expensive lights, they are very, very expensive, but they are really, really good. I have some Hydra 26 HDs, which are the half size version of that, and I have one in particular that I've had for around 7 years now, used it on multiple different tanks, and it works just as good as the day I got it. Definitely an investment, but great night lights nonetheless. So now we've spoken about the lighting, the filtration and the tank, let's talk about what I do to look after these fish. Now these fish get a water change once a week, so that is every 7 days. Normally I drain around 40% of the tank. Now slightly later in the video I'm going to show you how I do that water change and how my water change procedure occurs, what I do to keep the fish happy and how I conduct that. But let's also talk about food. Now as you can see, I have the huge range of Hulks above the aquarium, and Hulks is one of the sponsors of the channel. Big shout out to them, absolutely love their food. I've been using it for sort of the past 4 months now and I really, really like it. Now I give them Hulks through this Eheim auto feeder, as you can see right here. Now this feeds the fish 4 times per day, and then I often give them 1, 2, maybe 3 additional feeds on top of that, but they're always getting 4 feeds every single day, and then potentially I'm giving them a couple more in the evenings. So that is really how I look after the fish. They get their Hulks pellets. I generally don't feed them anything else. They've been on the Hulks pellets for the past 3 months. I do have Rapashi and I do have frozen foods as well, but they have just been eating the Hulks goldfish pellets over those past few months. I don't really do anything else. I clean the glass once a week or once every week and a half. It doesn't tend to get that dirty. But that is essentially what I feed the fish and how I look after them. So now let's conduct our water change. I'm going to show you exactly how I do the water change and what products I actually use with these fish. So let's get on with that now.
A few moments later.
Now let's talk about water changes and how I look after these goldfish to make sure that they stay in tip-top condition and really, really good health. So for water changes, I like to use a simple piece of hose. I think this is a 16 by 22 silicone hose, maybe by JBL, or this one actually is by Aqua One, as you can see here. Essentially, I put this hose into the tank, turn off the pump and just let it drain out into the garden. Yes, I could use a water pump. I've had loads of people say use a water pump, it'll be so much quicker, but I'm not really too fussed about the timing. Generally, I just put the hose in the tank, let it drain for around 45 minutes into the garden, get on with any other jobs I need to do or any video editing, and then I can fill it straight back up. I could use a pump, but I have to get it out of the car, plug it in, make sure it's dry, put it away, and I just can't be bothered, if I'm honest. So essentially drain the tank for 45 minutes to an hour with this pipe. I also have this, I'm not sure what you quite call it, maybe a shepherd's crook or something like that. I think Eheim might call theirs, but this is essentially a return from a canister filter or a input to a canister filter. It's just a plastic pipe, as hopefully you can see there. So this actually attaches onto this pipe, which I can place into the tank when draining and filling up, and it's actually really, really handy. I have quite a few of these on hand, and then I also have some slightly large pipe, which this piece here actually goes into that pipe, and then this piece here just slides straight onto my tap, so I can fill the tank up really, really quickly. Now they are the only 3 pieces of equipment that I use for water changes, but I also use a couple of additives. The first one is the Seachem Safe, as you can see here. Now, bang for buck, this is the best water conditioner that I have found on the market. I think I paid £7.99 for this Seachem Safe, and this treats about 350 water changes. So that is 350 weeks worth of water changes. So that's like what, 6 years worth of water changes for $7.99. That's like £1.20 a year, something like that, which is absolutely crazy. And this is the best one I have found. Obviously you have Seachem Prime as well, which is the liquid form. Now the only downside to this is it absolutely stinks like eggs, which is quite funny, so I do have to leave it outside in a sort of a shed box that I have outside. But that is my dechlorinator, and I find it does the job. And then next up, I'm also trialing out this Hulk's mineral booster. Now this is essentially just a remineralization product, adding different minerals that are good for your goldfish, good for the skin quality, the scales, and just the general health of your fish. So yeah, thank you Hulk's for that. They actually gave me this packet to try out. So I'm just trying this out, seeing what I think of it. And that is really all I do for water changes. So let's crack on with the water change now. Let's start draining the tank, and then we can get it full up and also change the filter fleece in the filter and get them back into some sparkling clean water. The tank is now draining. We've got the water draining over through this pipe, the 16/22 Aqua 1 silicone pipe, which is draining now into the garden. As you can see, I don't have an end like a gravel hoover or siphon or anything on the end of this pipe, but I always make sure that this pipe is right in the corner of the aquarium, so if any of the goldfish swim up to it, they can't get sucked onto it or stuck in it. Now, I definitely would use some kind of guard if you have smaller fish, especially the fish that I have in the super simple budget aquarium that are 4 to 5 inches. They are a lot smaller fish, and if you have small fish, I would say under 6, maybe 7 inches, I would definitely use some kind of guard, because I've seen so many horror stories where people have siphons running like this. The goldfish has gone up to it, it sucked its wen off, it sucked its eyes out, and it's really damaged the fish. So that's one thing I would stress when doing a water change. Now, another thing I haven't spoken about is my tank is connected to smart plugs. So when I want to turn the pump off, instead of having to go over and turn it off, I just say, Alexa, turn on the pump.
Okay.
And the pump starts right up. Alexa, turn off the pump.
Okay.
And there she does it, turns it off. Nice and simple. So I'm gonna let this drain now for the next 45 minutes before we can start filling it up. So I'm gonna leave that running now, and then I will catch you when it's time to fill it back up. Just while the tank is starting to drain, I thought I would talk a little bit about the filter fleece and actually what I do on a weekly basis. So essentially I buy my filter fleece in a big roll like this. Normally the roll is obviously much bigger, but I'm about halfway through this roll. Then I'll simply just pull a section out, probably about this much, tear it off like that, and then we're left with a sort of square rectangle piece like that. So now I've got to head up to the filter, remove the old one, put the new one in, and then we're ready to go for another week. Now we are getting to our 40% water change stage. I think we're probably, yeah, we've got a few more percent to go, so I'm gonna let it drain for a few more minutes. Then I'm going to attach the pipe onto this piece here. That piece will then attach onto the tap. The pipe will come all the way to the aquarium. I'll attach it onto this plastic pipe. That will sit in the top of the tank. I will turn the tap on, and then we can add our Seachem safe. Let the tank fill up, start the filter again, and then the water change is done. The tank is now filling up. Normally it takes around 25 minutes or so. I do have quite high water pressure, so it does fill up relatively quickly. I've added the Seachem safe, and I've also added the Hulk's mineral booster as well. So as I say, just gotta wait for it to fill up. All of the fish are absolutely fine. I do just use cold water out of the tap, and that is why I tend to not do more than a 40% water change, because otherwise I feel that it changes the water temperature a little bit too much and can cause unnecessary stress on the fish. Water change is going on now, so I'm going to catch you in a minute once the tank is completely full, and then we can wrap up the video. That is it for today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and hopefully I've answered all of your questions on the Goldfish Mega Tank. As you can see, this tank is super easy to keep. All I need to do is a water change once per week. The auto feeder feeds the fish, and that is really all there is to it. Obviously I give them some extra feeds every now and again, but I can just sit back, relax, and enjoy them. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have an absolutely amazing Christmas. Hopefully you can spend lots of time with your family and friends, and you have a really, really nice year. Let me know down below if you got any fishy presents, anything to do with your goldfish at home. Let me know what you got, and if you do have any questions, as always, please leave those down in the comment section below. But that's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Remember to keep those water changes up, and happy fish keeping.